welcome back to Hollow Time. I know, it's been a minute, maybe two, since we last did an episode. But it's been some interesting times, and it's been a couple of weeks since a big event that all three of us attended. We wanted to do an episode talking about it, our experiences through that week. But before I go on, hello, I'm Justin Quizon. I'm the co-host of Nothing New, a remake podcast. With me are these other fine gentlemen here. Why don't we go ahead? Mike, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, Mike Manalo from the Nerds of Color here. Pleasure to be part of this FilAm Film Fans group, and thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's definitely been a while, but honestly, every time I get together with these guys, it's just like no time has passed at all. So glad to be back on here.
Yeah, and I'm Lawrence Sharma. I am an actor, a host and producer out in LA doing the thing. It's a very weird time, but I do want to mention that before we hit record, you guys, we talked for like an hour and a half, like just like venting about life and stuff. And it's so nice to have friends where like we all get it. And there's like, you don't have to explain all the subtext. So I'm really grateful to be here with you guys, honestly.
Yeah.
No, same. Yeah, honestly, like that was at one point I think Mike
cathartic.
Was like, are we not recording? And we're like, oh shoot. We probably should have.
We said some stuff though.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we were.
All the juicy stuff you guys missed.
Yeah, that's like,
super juicy.
Hey, look, if you ever start a Patreon, I guess that's where that content would go.
Yeah, that's where that would go.
The extra spicy episodes.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, I am of course talking about San Diego Comic-Con. The geek mecca every year. Thousands upon thousands of nerds throughout the world come to and attack a small city.
Attack a small beautiful city on the coast
and just nerd it out for 5 days.
That's such a funny way to describe it. I love that.
It's the most apt way to describe it.
It's a true invasion. Like the people of San Diego and the gas lamp at night are just like, what the why is Vegeta here buying tacos? It's like, because Vegeta paid good money for the hotel down the street.
Literally, the people in downtown San Diego literally schedule. We're gone for that week.
Yeah, you can take my house.
San Diego sitting at a Starbucks, going like, "Look at the water," and then it's going like, "Doom, doom."
We gotta go.
And then like an army of Walter Whites.
Get on the yacht and bring extra California burritos. We're out of here.
Somebody just screams back.
They go to Tijuana for the weekend. but I think it needs to be said that with the WGA strike and the SAG strikes happening, Comic-Con looked a lot different this year than it has in a long time. I can't even compare it to Comic-Con at home. Justin, I know you went to that one, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how it compared, but honestly, you guys, it felt just as busy. Maybe there was a little less traffic in some areas, more traffic on the floor, but like the energy was still popping. The nerds were just happy to be there. It was pretty like, I don't know. It was nice to walk around multiple times, like aimlessly, because I wasn't trying to rush to a panel. I wasn't waiting in lines a lot of the time. I enjoyed it, but it was very different. And it affected some of the way that we ran our panels, and it affected probably like the types of people that or how long people stayed, But yeah, how, in your guys' opinion, did you see a difference with like all of like the studios pulling out?
Mike, you want to talk?
For me, I would describe it as same but different. I mean, like when you go to Comic-Con, you expect things like trying to circle the Marvel booth to buy merchandise, trying to go back and forth between your hotel and get away from people every day, lining up at the top of Sales Pavilion to try and funnel yourself into the exhibit hall floor. Looky-loos looking around like zombies from Shaun of the Dead, like and then like causing all this foot traffic on the floor. and also 4-hour lines for things like offsites and parties and stuff. So all of that was still very much there, but no craziness for Hall H, no big, studio driven activations or offsites or promotions. It's kind of funny because this was the weekend that Barbie came out and there was a non-sanctioned unofficial Barbie party, but there wasn't any presence from the Barbie movie itself, despite even Mattel actually being there at the con. Right. So that was a little jarring. But for the most part, as soon as you see the sea of people in your way, as you're trying to get from point A to point B at the exhibit hall, you forget all about that and remember that you're at Comic-Con. So
right.
Yeah.
No, I feel the exact same way. And it's interesting. Like, yeah, I will admit, like, as someone who used to like actively go to Hall H or Ballroom 20, that's how long I've been going. And to look at the schedule and see almost nothing, a couple panels here and there, and then to see it like Sunday have nothing. I'm like, I've never seen that. It was so weird. But I also like, I get it, and I actually am, some people were talking about like, oh, it's unfortunate the strike was happening right before this, to which I go, no, that was perfectly planned. This literally showed the effect immediately to the public that like, here's the thing. It showed the effect to the public, to the studio, that, Comic-Con can still happen without the celebrities. Yeah. But also proved to the attendees that, Comic-Con is still Comic-Con without the celebrities, and you're all having a good time, right? And everyone's like, okay. So,
all right. Mr. Soft.
No, nobody noticed the Spirit Halloween store banner Hall H on Sunday when there was nothing there, right?
Like, no, I mean, I got a wicked Michael Myers mask, but like, but no, it was it's like, God, it would have been so funny if somebody put a Spirit of Halloween banner.
That would have been genius, actually, Mike. That is such a good idea. Yeah, someone should have done that because it's a cosplay, right? Yeah. Imagine that, like someone just draped it outside of the Hall H line. You know what I mean? Like
Spirit of Hall.
H stands for Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, the H is Halloween. Yeah, that's great. That's really, really good.
That's really funny.
But like, did you enjoy it? I guess is like kind of the big question that I skipped right over. But
yeah,
I mean, I had a hell of a time this year. Yeah, I'll say that.
Very nice.
Same. And it's so funny because like to kind of make it cheesy, it's like, it's not the con, it's the friends we make along the way.
Really though.
It actually was. Yeah.
Like, I think at the end of the day, that to me, I hope people take from this year's convention, without the the big studios like blaring their sound systems loud to remind you that a superhero movie's coming out.
Yeah.
Looking at one specific studio that did that last year. Okay, I just gotta talk about it. I was at a completely different panel right above where the Black Adam panel was happening last year.
Yeah.
And we felt the Black Adam panel.
Oh wow.
Like our panel was shaking.
Did you guys have a broom? Did you like smack it on the floor? Like, shut the fuck up down there,
Dwayne. Keep it down.
They all made that joke that I'm gonna point at any joke yet, but they're like, "Oh, I guess The Rock approved." But it is annoying. But like, no. Without that, I think it is. What was a good reminder is just like, the purpose of a convention is to like, hey, get your friends all to be in like one spot, surrounded by your interests. And have a good time, like talking about the stuff you're really into. Like, part of being into this stuff is buying, so you want to buy, like that's part of it. Even if it's not buying, it's looking. It's like, it's all of it. This whole thing is part of going to cons, whether it's a big one like Comic-Con or a small one at your local like hotel. Like, this is the convention experience. And I hope that the people who still went without the celebrities, we're having a good time with their friends and just sort of go, wait, right. This is why we look forward to this.
Community. You guys. Community good. Friend good. Buy good. It's like, yes, buddy. All good.
Yeah, how about that? How about that?
Me happy now. I'm so glad, buddy.
So
Oh my god,
that's good.
so
Good.
freaking
Good.
dude. Like
Um,
I gotta say, one of the things I really loved, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm a sucker for a good Hall H panel. Like, I'm always there for Marvel Studios. I love it. I don't care if they're announcing Phase 86. I love every single. They make it an
I'm
event.
with you though.
They make
Yeah.
it fun, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Mhm.
But the great thing about it is, without the presence of Marvel Studios, without the presence of Warner Brothers and DC, you have these film companies that are smaller, that don't get that chance to shine because they're relegated to rooms like room 2AB or something like that, that no
Or
one's
the
going to go to.
library, or
Yeah,
like
the library,
offsite, you
yeah,
know.
offsite. This year, for example, there was a Telugu film called Project K that had like a whole lot of speculation around it, and no one knew what this was. There was a lot of anticipation, and of course, no one in like the Hollywood scene or in the States that doesn't follow the Indian Bollywood culture, movie, news, would know anything about it. But it actually was a huge deal in India. It's a big, highly anticipated, almost Dune level project that no one knew anything about. And then they revealed it here, and it was called Kalki 2898. There was a huge panel. They actually got to be in Hall H. They got to be headliners in Hall H.
Amazing.
They were able to do a performance with songs and singers and dancers just walking down the hall and everything like this.
Oh wow,
I didn't know
And that's
that.
huge.
Should have gone.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was huge. It was big, and people were super into it. I mean, we're living in an age where people have seen and loved RRR.
Yeah,
We did
yeah.
among those fans, we did. And now people are starting to embrace these kinds of stories. And to be able to give that studio a chance to get represented in Hall H, where Marvel Studios, where DC, where the big hitters are, this year, that's a big deal.
Yes.
I mean, like, it's a big deal to give those kinds of studios and international filmmaking a chance to shine. So that was one of the best things about Hall H not being the typical Hall H this year.
Well, to that point, Justin, didn't you go see Voltes 5, the Filipino live action? They had a panel at Comic-Con.
They did. So now that was interesting. So that was interesting for me. It's like, they took the opportunity of having a panel. Okay, so if you don't know, Voltes 5 is a part of the anime Super Giant Robot series from the 70s, but it blew up in the Philippines. And my brother has the age range of, they grew up loving Voltes 5. And to go into a little bit of Filipino history, there is some talks that even Voltes 5 might have helped inspire a generation of Filipinos to revolutionize, because that's part of the story of the show. So they did a lot. They currently they're airing a live action adaptation of the show, and for a Filipino, like TV show, it's a pretty big budgeted production. With the association of Toei, the Japanese studio. So they took the stab of having a presence at Comic-Con. And that's wild to me, because then I realized, hey, this is Halo time. I've never seen a Filipino show ever have exposure at Comic-Con.
Except for Lumpia.
Except for movie,
Except for Lumpia.
Yeah.
Ballroom 20.
And that's right. We did benefit. We did benefit when you guys talk about it, because we got to Ballroom 20. I'll pin that and talk about it later.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Voltes 5, director and the cast were there, and that room was packed with I'll be honest, folks around my age or my brother's age. And so it was wild for me to sit there. They had a whole presentation and they had commercials, and if you ever seen Filipino TV, whether it's like whatever your mom or dad are watching, or if you were actually in the country and you got to see television there's a very specific kind of Filipino English narrator. He's like a GMA presents, like that kind of very clear English.
Yeah.
To hear that at a panel at Comic-Con, my brain was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, cool, but weird. I actually had a really good talk with the director of the show afterwards. So his name is Mark Reyes. He's a very experienced filmmaker in the Philippines, and he's directing every episode. And let me point out, these are not 12 episode seasons. This is not a 6-episode Secret Invasion and we're done. This is like hundreds of hours of TV that he's directing.
Yeah.
This show has been years in production, and I got to talk to him for a bit, and I brought up the fact that one of my relatives is actually in the show. He plays like a villain in the series. He's like one of the regular bad guys, and I don't pull the card very much about pulling my last name, but I pulled up my badge. I went, I'm Epi's cousin Justin, and he got so excited when he realized, oh. Oh, hey, how are you? I'm like, I'm good. No. He said he talked about my cousin for like 5 minutes and how much he was working with him. It's really sweet. So no, that's the type of stuff we're gonna talk about, right? It's like really
cool.
Voltus 5 didn't feel like they had a reason to be here, and then this year they were like, let's give it a shot. Let's try to get this exposure of this show that does have a Western audience. Small as it is, they exist, and that panel was packed. They had to turn people away, So yeah, good for very good, very good.
Not bad.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Not bad. But speaking of panels, you put a pin in it, but I mean, it's something to celebrate.
We got to bring it back with a vengeance.
With a vengeance, yes.
I not paid him to say
for those of y'all that don't know, but like the movie that Justin helped produce and make, and you guys have quite the presence at Comic-Cons generally, but Ballroom 20 is an insane achievement.
That's huge.
And I heard it was packed. Tell us about that.
That was wild because like I said, I've been going to Comic-Con since like 90. I didn't mention this earlier, but I've been going to Comic-Con since 96. And
wow,
I've never missed a year short of a pandemic. And
those pesky things.
I know. Could have had a good streak, but anyway, so I remember being in Ballroom 20 for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Wow.
In 2001.
Wow.
So I was there. Oh man, that 45-minute wait to get into the panel. What up? Oh man, that was rough. I hope I never have to do anything that bad.
To think of a big studio movie in Ballroom 20 instead of Hall H too, right?
And it's not even Hall H, but also like, oh man, me and my best friend were like 45 minutes for a panel. Wow. If I can tell him later.
How times have changed.
How quaint. 45 minutes. But you didn't sleep on the cart. You didn't sleep on the concrete like you did, Johnny 2013, Justin.
Yeah.
But no, we were there at the Sam Raimi panel. It was just Sam, but it was 2001, talking about the trailer, talking about the movie. We got to see like the scene where Peter gets bit. Hey, remember, by the way, you know where they filmed that, Law?
I do. It's the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles.
Sorry, it's my running gag. That's the one fun fact I know about the Natural History Museum in LA. But so I have all these memories of going to see that panel, and then now 22 years later, I'm like in that same room that's also packed. There were 4,000 people in attendance. And on stage is like one of the best FilAm rappers performing, Ruby Ibarra, who's in our film soundtrack. And like, I'm just going, am I in the right? Like, my jaw was like open.
You were in the right seat, sir.
I was.
That's not a mistake. The stage, not the audience, the stage.
It's
Come on.
so wild. Like my jaw was still like open the whole time. My buddy was like, dude, this is your panel. I'm like, no, that's not right.
It's your panel, man.
And
the chair that you sat in was the same chair that Sheldon Cooper sat in for several Big Bang Theory panels. Just wrap your head around.
That's so funny.
But it was great to see, like, we did our first Comic-Con panel in 2021, but special edition, and we were just happy to do it, right? That was the weird one. It was in November. It was a small show. It wasn't exactly the same, but it got some of the scratch of Comic-Con that we missed. Then we had a panel in 2022 last year, and then here we are with this bigger panel in Ballroom 20, and I'm just sitting here going like, this is not only a Filipino-American movie, it's our Filipino-American movie.
Yeah,
like the one we've
that's
been
crazy.
working on since
Damn straight,
2013.
man.
And that room was, filled with people who've been following us. And then at the same time, I'll admit there's some people in there who clearly they were camping for their next panel. I've done that move. I'm sure you guys done that move where you sit down, like, hey, I'm gonna sit in this panel and see how it goes, but I'm here for the one after. I think the beautiful thing about that is that exposed us to a whole bunch of new folks who have never heard of our film, who never knew the movie existed. And I think we were able to kind of normally there's a worry of preaching to the choir. We've done several panels about the film at Comic-Con and WonderCon, but seeing this audience that was packed and a good amount of them never heard of us, but I think by the end they were curious and wanted to know more. And I went, oh, hey, pre-order, please.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you guys also had an autograph signing.
We did.
You're the only person that I know that actually signs autographs at Comic-Con. Like the only person I know personally. That's you.
Yeah, you're not friends with the guy who played Boomer in the Battlestar Galactica from the 1970s show, or just I'm sure he's a nice gentleman. I'm sure he's a nice gentleman. No, we did have a signing for our comic book that we released. I helped co-write. It's been nice, it's been nice to kind of be I will admit, I've been, like I said, I've been going since '96, and then all of a sudden this year I finally get to go under the professional badge that I've earned.
Yeah.
I've gotten pro badges from friends, and I'm their guest, and I of course have always been happy with it, but then I registered this year and realized this is my pro badge.
You are enough. Yeah.
Yes.
I am Ken enough.
You are you've made it. You've made it when you go on eBay and you see someone hawking your signature for $200.
There you go.
Seeing that, it's weird.
There you go.
Me a poster signed by the Bubble for $200. Bro, come over to my house. I got a bunch if you want them for free. You don't need to do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No, I'll get you the cats. Don't worry, it'll be fine. But it's been
speaking of.
It's good. Yeah.
I'll go for it. No, I'm good. I was just gonna say, speaking of autographs, I got to sign something really interesting. After one of my panels this year. It was the FilAm Diaspora and Entertainment panel. That's right. And a guy in the crowd, first of all, packed room. That same rapper Justin was just talking about was in the fucking room. Yeah. And I saw her the next day. I saw Ruby at the Dragon Ball Z activation. And I was like, hey, Ruby, I can't believe you were at the FilAm panel. And she's just like, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, good, because I was kind of embarrassed that you were in the crowd. It got unruly. I loved it, though. It was really fun.
You guys, it was a great panel. You guys are great. Yeah.
But highlight for sure was this guy brought out a can of Spam for the panel to sign. And so all of us got to autograph a can of Spam. And I'm sure it's just gonna sit on his shelf to the eventual nuclear apocalypse. But before that, it's just kind of an honor, unless it shows up on eBay. He's selling that with a Olympia signed poster.
Yes, it's on eBay right now for $500.
That's pretty good.
That's
pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Well, you got Donkey Doug to sign that can. So.
That's true. Mitch did sign it.
Yeah.
It says Spam not included, so I think you might have.
You know what? Smart move. Smart move.
It's better.
You
There's actually a company that turns Spam cans into candles. And I think it's really lovely.
That's actually pretty smart.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
The next year he's going to make us a candle then out of the Spam.
That's pretty good. Is the candle pink? I'm just curious.
No, it was white. The one that I saw was white, which is a missed opportunity.
I was going to say.
Let's be honest. And you know what? You put a little Spam in the candle, get the scent every now and then. Not bad. I think we're on to something.
Smells like breakfast.
There's enough oil there.
But yeah, all that to say,
that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Oh, sorry. I think I cut out here.
Oh no, it's all good.
Yeah. Hello.
I said.
Oh,
yeah. You good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Are you
Okay. Good.
okay?
We
But
can hear
yeah,
you.
I was saying is like all that to say is that doing the panels was really fun this year. And I had three, and after that day, that first day, I had nothing to do in the best way possible, except I
Nice.
got blisters on my feet. But it
Of
was a really
course.
good Comic Con, in my opinion. But you know what? I got to see Justin a couple times, and we met up after the con and got to have like drinks and hang out. But Mike, I didn't see you at all. I feel like, right?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
man.
what were
Yeah.
you
Not,
up to, buddy? What were you? I was
what were
happy to
you
bump into
doing?
you. You
So
look
so
busy in your own regard.
I'm gonna bring down the Zoom chat a little bit because
Oh
it's a
no.
big complicated story. But the Wednesday, because I was there from Wednesday to Sunday. The
Mhm.
Wednesday that I had planned to go, my sister and I were planning to leave at 9 a.m. and then hit Comic Con by like 12, maybe get in line for Hall H and stuff, or sorry, Exhibit Hall and all that stuff for preview night. But 4 a.m. that evening, actually, my dog started having breathing problems, and then
Oh,
she ended up passing away.
my
Literally
God.
at around 5 a.m. And as a family, all of us were just completely distraught. We didn't know what
Yeah.
to do. We spent our morning actually making the arrangements, taking her to the crematorium, and trying to figure out what to do. And no one was in the mood, man. I
Of
mean, we
course.
had that dog for 13 years. We loved her. She's the
Uh,
sweetest creature on planet Earth.
Mhm.
So it was devastating to us, and we didn't want to go. We were just like, I don't
Yeah.
feel like going anymore. This feels like shit, you know.
yeah.
And then we were just thinking about like, around the afternoon we came out, and everyone was very supportive, which was wonderful. But we started thinking, if we stay here where, without her, just like in this apartment, we're just gonna drive ourselves crazy.
Right.
Sure.
And honestly, we also paid a lot for our hotel and everything, so we just decided to bite the bullet and head out at around 2ish. So we got to Comic Con late, and honestly, throughout the weekend, we were just thinking about it. We're calling our mom and everything like that, and checking in on her because it was hard for her too. And every
Yeah.
single time, every afternoon that we check in, all of us as a family were just like crying, in the hotel room. But Comic Con was something that I needed. It was a distraction that I needed,
Mhm.
honestly.
I was gonna say.
And it was one of those things where you're so busy thinking about logistics that you're not thinking about emotion. You're thinking about
Yeah.
how to get from point A to point B, how to make this thing and that thing and get in line for this thing, and how are you going to get into this booth because it's capped off and all that stuff. That it was the distraction that I needed to take my mind off of just the garbage that all of us were feeling, honestly. And it helped a lot that I had, cheesy as it sounds, I had a lot of really good friends that I was spending a lot of the con with, that were very supportive and just hang out. But I was finding myself, honestly, I was at the Marvel booth literally every day, which is a chore in and of itself, trying to buy
Yeah.
shit. The first
I've
day that I
seen it.
went, yeah, it's insane and I hate it, but there was so much shit that I wanted to buy, and I'm just terrible. But I think the first day, my combined total of stuff that I wanted plus stuff that I was picking up for other people was like $900. And I was like,
Mhm.
Jesus Christ. So literally the only thing I autographed that weekend was receipts for stupid fucking, shit that I was paying for. And it was worth it. I got everything that I wanted, which is great. I got lucky enough to get into a signing with Jamie Lee Curtis for her graphic
I
Yeah.
novel, which
saw that.
really
Yeah.
kind of cool. I was hitting up offsites. I hit up things like the Paramount Lodge.
Mhm.
I think the Project K panel that I was referring to earlier, they also had a party on Wednesday that I was able to attend, which was really cool. And then was able to go to the fandom party on Thursday.
Cool.
The Futurama slash Hulu offsite that they had as well, which was, because I'm a huge Futurama fan, was a big one for me too.
Mhm.
And then I think Saturday, our cosplay group, the Avengers Initiative, had a shoot. So I had to suit up for that. And
Mhm.
then also later that evening, had to go to the Hellfire Gala, which was a
Yeah.
D23 party, which was interesting. I'll say that
I
much.
was gonna ask
Yeah,
about that. I know that was now. I've been curious about that one. I've
yeah,
seen. I've seen thoughts of the event. But I am curious, like, so okay, first of all, this is an official Marvel. So Marvel it's officially a part of Marvel.
It was Disney sponsored. Yeah,
I see.
their
Okay.
event, and through their fan club D23. In the past, D23 has held parties at Comic-Con, annual parties. I think last year, for example, was one that was inspired by Tron and Tron Legacy. And this year they decided to adapt one of the comic book storylines from recent X-Men runs called the Hellfire Gala, which is basically, if you're familiar with the comics or if you're not familiar with the comics, it's Marvel's version of the Met. And it's set in Krakatoa, the island that the mutants, all mutant kind of lives on right now, including the X-Men. And people dress up in these outlandish outfits, and variant costumes of these different characters have appeared in several variant covers and issues of this storyline. I guess they're kind of one-shot issues. And I think that's what the idea of the party was. And on paper, it is a phenomenal idea.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I called it the Hellfire Hazard because there was way too many people. There were not enough like exits, and they were utilizing basements and upper floors and everything like that to get any amount of space that they could to turn these different rooms into specific locations from the comics, unaware that if anyone was in the basement level and a fire broke out with one exit there with like 1 million people, everyone would probably be dead. So thank God no one's mutant powers went haywire, but it was, I think they oversold it. I think it was really packed. It was really uncomfortable. I'm not a big clubber myself, and the scene was very clubbish.
Club-like, yeah.
And usually one of the main reasons that people like going to these Disney events, and by the way, this is like my first D23 party at Comic-Con because I've got a principle where I don't usually pay for parties at Comic-Con. I like going to the free ones. But I decided to go this one because a bunch of my friends who are cosplayers were rocking these elaborately wonderful costumes that they spent months on, and just it came out so gorgeous, and I just wanted to support them. Made one myself, and then went with them. But it was a bit of a disappointment. Honestly, I think Disney, you could feel the cheapness, guys. It was around every corner. The venue itself was nice. There wasn't free food or free drinks like there are at free parties. It's kind of interesting. You had one drink ticket, and that was it. And then you had one ticket for a gift bag. And the gift bag was actually kind of cheap and shoddy. It came with like, it was a flimsy canvas bag that, if you put anything above like 5 pounds of stuff in there, it would totally rip. A crappy paperback book inspired by some X-Men storylines and some random ones. And then like a Hellfire Gala magnet and a pen. You guys are familiar with Laura, right? Laura Sirical.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's been going to these D23 events, and this year I ran into her, which was one of the highlights of the party. And she was like, "Oh my God, the bag is so crappy this year. It's so cheap. In years past, they give you like a shirt, they give you something really nice, and this year was garbage." And I got my gift bag and I was like, "Yep, this is kind of garbage. Why did people pay between $60 and $130?"
I beg your pardon. How much?
Yeah.
Really?
$60 to $130. If you were a D23 Gold member, because you're already giving Disney money, they were like, "We're gonna knock $70 off of your ticket. You still have to pay $60 though." If you weren't a D23 member, it was $130.
Yeah.
And to get a fraction of the perks that you'd get from a free party, like what they did with the Project K party, what they did with Fandom, what they did with IGN. I mean, guys, what the hell? There were 2 parties that I didn't get a chance to attend, sponsored by Amazon and Freevee. One for Jury Duty, one for
Good Omens.
Right? Yeah, and apparently there was a Neopets party. All of these were free. I actually, maybe Neopets you might have had to pay, but the spreads, the food, all of that was free. It was usually all you can eat buffet kind of style. And this cheap ass Disney party, man. I mean, like, but you're paying money for was the Hellfire Hazard. It was garbage. I was like, guys, yeah. So I think this might be the last time that I actually pay for a D23 party.
Mm.
I don't get me wrong, I love the costume that I wore. I think all of
What'd
us
you
looked
rock?
badass.
Who you wearing?
I
Who
think
you
he
wearing?
Yeah,
caused some.
so there was you guys know Havoc, right? Like
Yeah,
the
Of course.
yeah, Cyclops' brother. I guess in the Hellfire Gala storyline, it was a very simple, and this is, by the way, very last minute choice because I didn't have tickets for this thing, and I decided to buy tickets very last minute, but I needed to whip something up within like a week. And this was the costume, I guess, that he had leather jacket, light up like thing at the center. So I ended up just kind of whipping something up and putting it together pretty last minute. But it turned out okay.
You nailed it. I think you did a great job.
dude.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
I actually love how you did your hair
Turned
in
out
that too.
yeah. I just spiked it up, and I was like, "What would a douchebag look like?" And then I just douched it up. So yeah,
It's
It was really good.
that's
Thank
a
you.
shame to hear. I want to point out because like when I
That is a
heard
shame, dude.
when I
Yeah.
heard about when I heard they were doing a Hellfire Gala event, I'm like fucking brilliant,
yeah,
brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Because
On paper.
on paper, because
On
every year
paper.
when that comic comes out, people talk about the
Mhm.
costume designs, the art. People make their own art. It's such a smart move to go, hey, that thing that you've seen as illustrations, let's make that a version of a real event. So to hear from you and some other people, that
Yeah.
is extremely disappointing, especially if you're shelling out that much money for like you said, we've been to free events, free,
Yeah.
Free.
where they give you amazing stuff for free, and they give you plenty of great it's this weird thing. That's the weird thing about Comic Con. You get treated. You, the fan, if you're lucky, can go to an event, and you, the fan, can be treated like a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, like get all the perks, get all the fancy drinks, like get all the food, get all the cool merch. They will give it to you because they, obviously want your attention, but also like you want it because it's kind of cool, and it's like it's only the 1 year they'll shell out the money to do that for you. So the idea that like this event that is paid does not provide you half the amenities that the other places are, it's like you said, and like you said, it's a Hellfire hazard. Like hell, like Disney pay your artists and apparently pay the people working this Hellfire event. It's just like it's frustrating,
It is
It's definitely
frustrating because Comic-Con parties, I think it's like known that like no matter where you go, they're known for being pretty good time. You know what I mean? Like even the smaller ones, the energy is good. But like I'll be honest, like I've heard mostly bad things about the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah.
And I saw photos and I was like, why are all these photos taken in the same like 500 square foot space? And it's like because the photographer probably couldn't leave it. You know what I mean? Well, that's the thing. It's just like you have all this amazing opportunity for photos, and I did not see really good photos come out of it because it was dark.
It was super dark. Yeah.
It's like probably not enough like photographers capturing like high quality images, which is a shame because people really, I mean, that's half the fun with like a masquerade, right? Or like the Met Gala, so you could show off your outfit. Like you said, like you're the celebrity for the night. And beyond that, you're Emma Frost tonight, baby.
Yeah.
You're Cyclops. Way to go, buddy. You know what I mean? And like I hope people had a good time, but it just sounds like it's just like that, profit versus experience. And it's so frustrating, and it's different because like you could wait up to like 4 hours for an activation out in the sun, but that's a free thing that you get to do. Health Gala, I paid to be nervous. I paid to be nervous. Like that's wild.
I would bet you if someone was smart, they would do a fan version of it next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And almost sort of
destroy it.
Yeah. Destroy it. Like just like, oh, here's what you get when you get passionate people behind the event.
Mm-hmm.
Organize it because we know how to organize such. And make sure people are fed, make sure there's safety hazards been taken care of. And give a showcase for people to show off their incredible work. I bet you if someone was smart, someone will do that next year.
Yeah.
And fucking blow the memory of people of Disney trying to do a $130 version per person version of this.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, dude, like you see like a production company like I believe they're called XLE Productions, but they had parties every single night this year, and they did a really fantastic job with the production of it. Like if an unofficial party production team could do that, I have all the faith in the world with the right budget, you know, they can make something better because there already existed something that was better.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the nightlife at San Diego because it makes me crack.
Yeah.
The thing about Comic-Con, I kind of described to somebody who's like, imagine like a weekend where the people who tend to not be extroverts and go drinking, go clubbing, but they're at Comic-Con, they're gonna give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're gonna give it a go, especially because they're surrounded by their people, right?
Yeah.
But they're also surrounded by people who just go to do this regardless, you know, like, and because those people will just go to Gaslamp District no matter what. So I'm always fascinated when I see the nightlife post Comic-Con, because then you see like the nerdy Vegeta cosplayer buying tacos next to the people who just got at the club.
Yeah, drunk ass, yeah.
Drunk.
Yeah.
Like they're
UCSD
next to each
students.
other. Yeah, exactly. They're next to each other. And for the weekend, everyone's like, we cool?
They coexist. Yeah.
They coexist.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, we cool? And the Ryu cosplayer's like, we cool. You know? Like,
yeah.
Like,
they'll be like, brother, I used to play Street Fighter. And it's like, yeah, well, I am Street Fighter now. That's awesome.
I have seen that in person. I've seen that happen where it's like someone in a really awesome cosplay and a random guy goes like, yo, I used to watch that show when I was a kid. It's like, yeah, man. And he's here. I'm like, how long did they work on that? And you know, like, this guy would never have thought about a cosplayer any other weekend except this weekend. And he just decided, I'm fucking talking to this Darth Vader. You know?
Yeah. I honestly love the nightlife in San Diego because you could it's like a build your own adventure, man. Like there's so many pathways that you can take. And you know, I only did one party really this year, which was the IGN party on Friday. And then on Saturday, like I just like hung around. It was very, very basic hanging out and going to like hotel lobbies or like going to Olympia, right? Walking Gaslamp. But like I just love that no matter where I go, I find my people or they're already there. You know what I mean? Like, and it's so nice. And so that's why it makes like what you went through, Mike, even more frustrating. Because it's like we're all here and like the recipe should be right, but the venue's not very big and there's not really enough food for all of us or any food. You know, like it's a shame because you know, if you've never been to Comic-Con and you got to stay for the nightlife, it's just like it's electric. It's really, really fun.
Better. Yeah.
Even if you're not in a place and you're just like walking around, you're gonna have a good time.
I remember many years ago. This is back in 2010, I believe. Me and my buddy, we drove. We had the weekend tickets, but we only had a hotel for just Thursday on. But we really wanted to do preview night. And this is where I had the energy to do a turn and burn. And drive to San Diego for 2 hours just to do preview night and then drive back that same night. I don't have that energy anymore. I'm not a young guy anymore.
Of course. Who does?
But we did we did go there and we bumped into one of my friends, like comic book like she's a very good like comic artist. And she's by and we were he was happy to see her. I kind of knew her. And she's like, yo, y'all gonna party tonight? And we're like, no, we tend to not really go. We just like to chill in our hotel room. We're in our 20s. We're like, we just like to go to our hotel rooms and kind of decompress, kind of dinner. And she looked at us and went, guys.
That's so good.
This is the best part of Comic-Con. And you never went to go party.
Yeah.
I guess we could. And we did that that year, and we're like, okay, she's right. This is awesome.
This is the best day of my life.
Why did I not do this before?
There's a life outside the hotel room.
You told me I don't have to get Jack in the Box and just chill out.
That's so funny.
That's awesome.
I don't know. I love Comic-Con, man. I ultimately I had a really great time. But I am sorry to hear, Mike, about your pup. I remember being at a Star Wars celebration, and kind of the exact same thing happened in my family. Random breathing problems, and then had to say goodbye. And then I was like, I still have to be here and work and and function. But you're absolutely right in that a place like Comic-Con is always going to be special because it has that energy that's like, dude, when I'm out there, the rest of the world does not factor in anymore.
No.
Which is really like, it sounds a little dramatic, but it's absolutely true.
It really is true.
No, it's a time warp. 5 days go by like that, and no one knows what happened to those 5 days.
It's a completely different culture.
People are outside looking in, being like, what happened to you? And it's like, you're not going to believe what I saw. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to believe. And it's true. It's just like, I didn't think about how hard it's been, in like life and career. I just thought about like being at Comic-Con, and so I don't know. It's always going to be special, but like this year, despite everything, I had a really great time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, same.
Which is insane to think about. It's funny because last year was the year that like all the big panels were there. Marvel was there, DC was there, and I had a better time this year than I did last year, which is kind of
some shit.
Ain't that some shit? Yeah.
Some shit.
I guess we don't need The Rock to have fun,
We don't need The Rock to nearly break down Hall H.
I can stop anytime.
The tens of people that saw Black Adam were like, we don't need The Rock to have fun. But yeah,
that's so funny.
I mean, like that I feel like is as a show in and of itself of me kind of pointing out the because I do feel like like Hall H became a very big part of the convention. Like these presentations became a very big part of this convention and became part of the rep of the convention. I understand why a lot of marketing people love using the con as a way to get attention, but I also do think we are at the other end of it. We've been seeing the erosion slowly for the last decade. I feel that they're starting to realize Comic-Con is not an accurate place to gauge the interest of your property. And like I was there for the 300
Twilight.
For the 300 panel, the 2006.
Okay.
And I feel that's a seismic panel that almost every single one of them compares themselves to or wants to get. Because that's a movie that went from no one knew what this was. Even comic book fans never read this Frank Miller comic book. And if you liked horror films, you just barely knew Zack Snyder as the guy who directed the remake of a great horror film. So you don't know anything about this movie. It stars a guy that no one really knew, Gerard Butler. It is the small movie in comparison to what was being promoted that year. So everyone was like, sure, whatever, do this 300 thing, whatever. And then the trailer came out at the panel. And I remember being in that and going, and just silence. And everyone was like, what the hell was that? And then they were like, you want us to play it again? I'm like, yes, play it again. And they've been chasing that dragon since 2006. And like, I think the fact that like you all said, like without the studios, hell, I don't have to stress about trying to make it to the Marvel panel or the DC panel or whatever panel. I could just enjoy the show and realizing that even if I saw a great panel for him, like I thought the Dungeons and Dragon panel was fantastic.
Yeah.
No one saw it.
No one saw the movie. And that's a really good movie too.
It's so good, honestly.
That just proves it right there. That was last year. I went from I don't know about this movie, saw the panel, went great panel, great footage. I'm looking forward to it. Thought the movie was great. No one saw it. I'm sure they have to rethink the strategy. I'm hoping if they're smart, but knowing how long the strike's been going on, they're not.
Yeah. I've got to feel bad for Paramount this year. They released some really good stuff: Dungeons and Dragons, Mission Impossible, and
Ninja Turtles, right?
Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles is actually kicking ass at the box office. I'm actually pretty happy about
so
that.
Good for
So
them.
Yeah, good for them. I'm very happy that that's getting recognition, but D&D didn't get any recognition, which was horrible. Nope. And people literally after 1 week forgot about Mission Impossible, which is kind of sad.
That's kind of wild to me too.
The man that
especially after Top Gun last year.
Yeah, I was like, the man that saved summer box office last year has one of the bigger flops of this year. Like,
and they're still making the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's strange. It's that's a whole other episode as well.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
The whole other thing. But I do feel like, I think, I will say that, yes, like certain things will do well at Comic-Con,
Yeah.
Like clearly do superhero movie panels. Don't be an idiot. Do that here, clearly.
Yeah.
But hey, Oliver Stone promoting Snowden, don't do that. That's weird.
Yeah.
That was odd. That was a weird choice.
It was a weird choice. I mean, like, I went because I'm a film fan, but also like, what is Oliver Stone doing at Comic-Con?
And Snowden is not a Comic-Con property. Why would you
do that? Or like when Francis Ford Coppola came.
There's definitely some recalibration.
There has to
be. Francis Ford Coppola,
yeah.
No, there recalibration, I think, has to be done, and like, obviously, properties that like based on big IPs like Dungeons and Dragons and comic books, that makes sense. Even if they don't do well, go ahead and give it a try to get the word out.
Yeah,
Doctor Who makes sense. TV shows, obviously, like ironically, like Breaking Bad doesn't make sense on paper, but it definitely makes sense at Comic-Con. So who knew?
Yeah, it worked.
If they did a Better Call Saul panel this year,
they did. Not this year, but
this year, yeah. Oh yeah, they've done before. You're right.
They've done it before, yeah.
Yeah. If they did the Bear this year, like that probably would have been really packed.
It probably would have been, yeah. Even though it's not a traditional Comic-Con property, I mean, you wouldn't promote Succession at Comic-Con, but
I would promote Succession at Comic-Con.
Yeah. But
that's probably not the right audience.
The Bear, I feel like you probably could.
I don't want to be in that audience.
Yeah, Succession.
For a Succession panel? That sounds stressful, dude.
I don't want to be in a room with hardcore Succession fans. I feel like that's like, no offense, but also I feel like I don't want to be there.
Yeah. Backing up a little bit, what was Coppola promoting? Like, I feel he's anti-Comic-Con, right? Like, he's like like he's one of the people that's out there going like, superhero movies are destroying cinema, but I'm gonna go to Comic-Con to promote my movie. What?
He did this. Do you recall? This is it's a weird movie, but he was there to promote a film that, if anyone recalls, Val Kilmer was in the cast. Ellie Fanning was in the cast, and like it was like this sort of semi-hoary thing. And he tried doing this. I wasn't there for this panel, but I heard he tried doing this thing where he had like. He was trying to promote the fact that he was initially considering the idea of doing this movie like a roadshow style per release, where he would do live edits during the film, switching up different angles and takes, gauging the audience. And he tried doing that at Comic-Con. And like everyone who saw the panel was like, this is extremely fascinating. I don't think this is the right audience for this. But film guys were like, this is interesting. Not here. Don't do that. This is like Sundance shit. Don't do that here. Or South by Southwest. They would probably be into this. Not here. This is weird, because the people after this are going to want to watch the Twilight panel.
It's almost as ill-advised as promoting Indiana Jones at somewhere like Con.
That's weird. Like
why would you do that?
Like, why would you think like who would think to put a massive franchise film in like the snootiest film festival?
Yeah.
That's weird. That's a dumb move.
Or vice versa. A movie from a prestige director who hates Comic-Con and comic books, and like doing an artsy sort of thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's so weird.
That's weird. Don't do that.
Twix. Guys, stop thinking so hard. It's really not that hard to figure out Comic-Con and what we want to see.
No, Twix. You found it?
Yeah,
by the time
it's Twixt. I mean, I was actually trying to buy Twix, the candy, but it's no, I'm
there's
kidding.
a whole movie that has
Yeah, now
nothing
there's
to
a
do
whole
with that
movie
kid.
based on Twix, the candy, that Francis Ford Coppola directed. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah.
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 Trying to think of other anything else that kind of like really stuck out for you guys at the show? Anything particularly like it's always weird when people do ask me like what was the coolest thing you saw today? And when I don't know, everything's a blur. Yeah.
Did you guys do any of the offsites? Like there was a Jurassic Park one, there's the Sonic one, like there was at Paramount, I guess, a couple of other things. I don't know if you guys had a chance to.
I
I
personally did
have a
not.
chance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I wanted to do the Futurama one because
Yeah, yeah.
I was excited to see a life size
Yeah.
Express.
Planet Express. That was super cool.
That was
I
cool.
I didn't get a chance to really get to do any of that, but I know you did. Like what was that how was the Hulu one like overall?
So the Hulu one, it's kind of funny, all right. That was on Friday that I went to visit it. And I know that because my sister and I were on our way to the Funko party. She was and it was at the Half Shell, which is across from the convention center. And on the way there, since you have to go behind the convention center, that's where the Hulu activation was. And they had capped off the line for the day, but the security guard who was manning the activation was someone that we knew. It was like it was random, you know, it was it's a guy that we were friends with that we chatted about. He worked an event before for Indiana Jones, and he did us a huge favor and actually let us go through. And I didn't
Wow.
have that much time, so I didn't get a chance to do everything at the activation. There was a Simpsons thing, a Family Guy thing, a Bob's Burgers thing where I think they actually served burgers. But you know, we only had enough time because we're gonna make it to that party to do one part of it. And for me, I immediately went to the Futurama part. Because that was the one thing that I really wanted to see.
I'm doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I gunned it to that, and it was so cute. It was like they blew up a gigantic Planet Express ship, the inflatable you know, Planet Express building.
The building, yeah.
Brilliant. They had tables and photo ops that made it really look like you were part of the show. And then they had a tube that you could step into, like in the show, where you know they blow air at you, so, like you were flying up in the air.
I think I saw photos of that. That's awesome.
It was really cool. And then at the end, after you were done with Planet Express, they gave you a nice little bag and a set of Futurama pins. And it was actually one of the better pieces of swag that you can get, because it was like an actual, not like a crappy tote bag like you'd get at a, you know, Hellfire Gala thing. Yeah, but you know, like an actual canvas backpack, you know, with like a lot of zipper pockets. And I was really impressed by what they put together. And man, I heard that the lines got up to be like 4 hours because he really wanted the backpack more than anything. But for me, it was just the experience of getting into that Futurama world and just, you know, being part of it. It was ironic because the day before I was cosplaying as Fry trying to get in, and the lines were too long. And then the day that I wasn't cosplaying as anything, I was
It's just like by happenstance.
yeah. So I was like, screw it. But it was we tried to look for our friend. I wanted to give him a present and thank him for letting us in. We missed him, I guess, the next 2 days. So the next time I see him, I'm definitely gonna have to give him a huge thank you for just doing us. Yeah,
that's cool. No,
good man, good guy. Yeah,
that's awesome. I think it should. Yeah, no, it's funny. I was thinking like, what would be what's some of your guys' like favorite like activation you've been in other shows? Like, what do you think is like one of your personal favorites
in the history of Comic-Con, you mean?
Yeah, of all the ones you've been to.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's so hard to say. I mean, and truthfully, it hasn't always been that I get to do a lot of the activations. So when I do, it's always like a treat, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many that like I'm blanking out on right now, but the one that comes to mind is I remember when Age of Ultron was happening.
Okay.
And then there was this offsite activation that was run by like Samsung or something, and it
Mhm.
was the first place outside of Hall H where anyone would get to see the Age of Ultron footage, and it
Ooh.
was like
Oh.
special cut trailer for this like VR. It was like a VR thing, and so you sit down and they put these headsets on. And like before you go in, they're like, "Welcome to the snack bar. You could have one item from each list." And like it was like
Ooh.
candy, chips, and like a soda. I got a Red Bull, like it was just very simple, but it was cool to like get to such an exclusive thing. Like getting to see footage is like one of the most exciting things at Comic Con, and for
Right.
me to just like stumble on that on the street of like the gas lamp was pretty cool. I know it doesn't sound like a big activation, but it's like one of the smaller ones that really stands out to me because it's like, yeah, even the small ones can be really cool. When
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers is cooking you burgers, that's
Yeah.
dope.
That sounds
What I mean? Like when they do full on, like Cartoon Network, Adult Swim used to do those full on carnivals, man. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Petco Park when they took back in the days of like Nerd HQ and they took over
Yeah.
like the children's museum
I
or
kind of
the
miss
stadium.
those. I
I
was
miss Nerd
thinking,
HQ.
I
When
loved.
freaking Lincoln Park came out, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like
That was
there's
the
so much cool stuff there.
last time I saw Chester Bennington before he killed himself too, which was really sad.
Wow.
But it was a really good concert
Oh, I
for
bet.
what. Yeah, it was so super short, but yeah, some of the activations. I there were two in the history of Comic Con that I never made it to that I wish I did because they just sounded epic. One of them was Westworld, apparently,
Yeah,
where
I
Wow.
heard.
you got to pick your path, a black hat or a white hat, and then they really made everything feel like Delos, and then they gave you a Stetson hat at the end, like a white hat or a black hat,
Ooh.
which was kind of nice. The other one that I never got a chance to do that because reservations were just difficult as hell to get into. The other one that sounded amazing was Blade Runner, I think 2049,
Ooh.
back in I want to say 2017.
Yeah, yeah.
And you really stepped into the world of Blade Runner, and there were vending machines where you can get like umbrellas and you can get t-shirts and you can get everything. And they would go around serving you Johnny Walker, not just like the cheap stuff too. There were shots of Johnny Walker
So
blue
I was
among.
able to
Wow.
I was able
There
to
you
do
go.
this. I
Yeah, yeah,
actually was
yeah.
able to do the activation, but I only got to do so okay, so I did the kind of like shortcut version of the activation. So
Okay.
there's so from what I heard, and I guess the beauty of this is that it could only work once, is that they did hey, we're gonna do a special like VR like event where y'all get to wear the VR set and you're gonna be in like the flying cars from Blade Runner for the upcoming Blade. So that's what they told people.
Hmm.
So the deal is everyone, it's kind of this perfect scenario. You get everyone in this one room, everyone's wearing the headsets, completely covered, eyes and ears. And then when the simulation's done, they open up, they wake up, they open up and realize they're in the world. They
Wow.
did not announce
Oh.
that the first night. So
Whoa.
everyone who found out about it, what the hell? And then they're interacting
Wow.
with the cops and androids
Whoa.
and no one knew that. So of course it's a thing that can only work once as a surprise.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure.
so there was a version where you got to do the ride, you got to do the VR set, and you got that experience. Or if you just want to go straight to the city,
Yeah.
you can do that. So I did that one like way early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it was kind of like Westworld with Blade Runner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so everyone was acting and I got like a cop thinking I was a replicant and I was like talking back at him, like
Wow.
it was such a fun experience. And you're right, there was a vending machine in which I got to pick a t-shirt, I got free
Nice.
ramen.
Nice.
They were definitely not giving out the cheap Johnny Walker. There was some good drinks but it was this really cool, like I filmed it too, like I have an old
Nice.
vlog of it and it's like I shot it in slow-mo, so all of a sudden I'm like feeling like I'm like a baby ripping off Ridley Scott vibes thing going on. I even cut it originally to like the Vangelis music from the first movie, which of course
Ooh.
Instagram then took down. Then went,
Mm.
fine, let me find a generic sound thing. But it was such a cool experience. I had my friends like, oh, walk this way. Like I treated it like it was like my set, you know,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
all my friends got to look really cool. And I had a buddy who helped design some of the things from the
Oh.
activation. Yeah, I didn't know that. He surprised me about that later. He's like, "Did you do Blade Runner?" I'm like, "I did." Yeah, I helped out with this. So I went, dude.
That's
So,
awesome.
It's
That's so
amazing.
cool
It's
to actually
it's
bring that to life. I mean,
oh my
geez.
god.
Yeah, for
He
real.
was he was in the discussion of how to get the free shirts out to people and
Yeah.
what you could do. And he's a big sci-fi nerd and he loves the
Yeah.
original film. So that one is a great experience. That was one of my favorite ones for sure. The other one was the other one you mentioned, Mike.
Westworld, I think, was the other.
That one showed
Didn't get a chance to do that.
What remember the Game of Thrones? I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a Game of Thrones one where the Iron Throne or whatever. But there was a place where they had like a sheet of like 12 different Game of Thrones tattoos that you can get.
Ooh.
Legitimate tattoo artists were tattooing
Wow.
people.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
And I was just like, listen, I don't love Game of Thrones enough to commit to that because I don't know how it's gonna end. And thank God I didn't.
Yeah, thank God you didn't.
But I will say I thought the concept was so cool. And also shout out to like the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
Oh my god, that
was
the
Tavern was
concept
excellent.
behind that. They got that cool TikToker guy who runs the fantasy inn.
Yeah.
I forget his name. Quincy.
Yeah. That
and then
tavern.
The dragon.
Yeah,
dragon. The dragon was really
so
cool.
The secret room, Justin.
You all slept on Dungeons and Dragons. That's a shame.
I know.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see another campaign with this group too. Like honestly.
You notice that it's the campaigns that they spend a lot of money on that produce the biggest flops because Blade Runner also just died horribly.
And I love that movie.
And it's a great freaking movie, but nobody.
But it's not an every person movie. It's not Tron Legacy.
Tron Legacy though also had an amazing.
It had an amazing offsite.
Amazing activation.
Remember that Flynn's Arcade where you basically you got to go in and you got to play the old school arcade games, and then the lights would go off. And then the arcade machine would turn, and then you'd go into the basement of Flynn, get digitalized, and then and then go into the world of Tron.
Yeah, I went to that one too. I got like that, and it was so good. It was so good.
They gave
you guys don't understand how much I love Tron.
It was so because we didn't get that before.
I just love Neon.
No, you would have loved it, Law. Wait, did you go? You didn't go, right?
No, the closest I've ever done to that kind of experience was Electronica at Disneyland.
It was
what?
It was close.
That was baller, dude. Because they did the same thing with like the arcade machine, and then like there was a light effects. I don't know.
I love
and then you got to exit into the park area, but they literally had projection mapping on the walls with light cycles like going around the park. That was really well done.
That was really well done.
And then the drinks were pretty good too.
I remember. I still have my cube somewhere.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say the activations are always really, really cool and fun, and they do try to make them different every year. I feel like,
like that's the weird thing to kind of describe to people about Comic-Con is like, yes, there's a massive mile-long football field like shopping area. Yes, there's literally most celebrities that you probably watched on your favorite TV show, past and present. They are there. Also, a lot of food, and also somehow I don't know how this happened. A theme park.
Yeah.
It's like a theme park. All the activations.
Well, they'll make like the carnival. Yeah. All that stuff.
All the activations we talk about.
Laser tag.
Yeah, there's laser tag. I like. What is Comic-Con? The answer is all of this. It is all of this, and like, like I said, like without no big panels to announce what's coming up next year. No, and I'll admit that's a tradition I'm bummed that doesn't happen to me this year. It's like the cool down period after Comic-Con is like I'm watching all the trailers that came out the week before, whether I was in the panel watching the panel or just I had to watch it later. But we don't got that. We didn't get that this year. And hey, look, for the better good at the end of the day, that's fine. I didn't see a commercial early. That's okay. But it is part of it, and I do kind of miss it. And that was weird. But outside of that, Comic-Con was Comic-Con. I didn't really,
It's pretty good.
Always will be.
Always really good. Yeah.
It'll always be overcrowded. But no, I'm just kidding. No,
and since there was no Hall H, they were all in the exhibit hall.
I honestly, if there's one thing that you can describe, one word that you could use to describe Comic-Con, it's always going to be an adventure. Literally. Whether you have a good experience or a bad experience, it's always going to be a memorable one. So I think that's always one of the best things about that. Yeah.
100%. No, I don't think even my bad experiences, like at the event, led to good experiences the following, either the following day or even the following minute. Like, I didn't get to that thing. I've been waiting here all day for that. And then something else comes along and went, what was I mad about? Whatever.
I agree. I remember 2016, I had something very similar to that too, but I'll save the story for another day.
We have been talking for a while on this podcast episode, but I guess, do you guys have any additional thoughts? Because I just enjoyed kind of the casualness of this con, and at the same time, my AirPod died, and at the same time, how special it remains to be, no matter the circumstances. Like, it makes me think that if I went to the Comic-Con at home, I think I would have still enjoyed it because the right people still would have been there.
Right. I feel like for me, like, just in terms of this year, right? Like, because of the fact that I was just more focused on trying to hang out with people, trying to see people, or even just hoping I'd bump into people. Because there's a point where I'll probably just see them. Like Mike. Like, I ended up just like, oh shit, Mike, there you are. Hi. Like, I definitely kind of feel like that's sort of the wildness of the show, because like at the end of the day, like, if I have to see my friends, I have to kind of make all these I have to make plans like months in advance to finally schedule them in my life. But if they were all there that weekend, beautiful thing is, oh good, you're here, I'll meet you in 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. And like that to me was the best thing about this year more than anything else, was that like it was highlighted so clearly that like I didn't need much else outside of like maybe more money for the tacos I wanted to buy. But but no, for me, Comic-Con, like I was exhausted, my feet were hurting, I didn't get a lot of sleep, and I'm already trying to schedule how I'm gonna do it again next year. Mike.
For me, I needed this. I think my entire family did, actually. It was a rough time. It was the distraction that I needed. It led to at least some, even if it's just small things, minor things, whether it's signing with Jamie Lee Curtis or a chance to spend hours and days with people that really matter to you a lot. It's those little things that make you happy that just add up to getting you past something that would have monumentally just depressed you for days, and it sometimes it's like zombie rule 32 or something, enjoy the little things. Sometimes those little things make you happy, and that happiness is what you need in that time in your life. And I was so grateful for this con because of that. Honestly, there's one of the best cons I've probably ever had just for that reason alone. So
that's really great to hear.
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah.
All right. I know we can go on, but we should probably wrap it up. So you can find me on Instagram at Justin Quiz, and I guess Threads at Justin Quiz. I'm on there too, but look, we all know that X is going to implode at some point, so might as well jump on that. But yeah, you can find me there, and again, always a good pleasure talking with you guys.
Of course.
Yeah. Mike.
Yeah. So you could find me at Instagram at I'm not gonna fucking call it X. I'm sorry. F you, Elon. I'm calling it Twitter. You can find me on
That's
Instagram.
right.
That's right. I'm sorry. Find me on Twitter at Justin Quizon.
There you go. Fuck X. There's already something called X, and they're an awesome comic book, guys. X-Men, you know. But yeah. That being said, yeah. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Threads at TidyBillBoy182. But more importantly, you can find all of my work and the work of a million other amazing people on the nerdsofcolor.org. So follow us on those channels too. Yeah. Law.
Amazing. And you can find me on all social platforms, including Threads and Twitter, at Law J Sharma. And yeah, I mean, Justin, you said it, and you know, in the same way that we needed Comic-Con, I need these conversations too.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day we'll all be in the same place, physically, for more than like 5 minutes, and we can like have a proper meal or something. But in the meantime, hopefully we could keep treating you guys to these conversations, because I don't know, it's just good to connect, and it just carries, you know, all that energy that we were talking about. Yeah. That carries with this group for me, you know, like I'm always excited to talk about anything with you guys, and it just so happens that you're also excited to talk about those exact things that I want to talk about. So
hell yeah.
Very, very grateful to you guys and to anyone who chooses to listen. But that was a pretty great Comic-Con talk, I think.
I think so too.
I agree. All right. Thank you for all watching or listening.
Yep. Same time next year, guys.
Yeah.
Or subscribe to the non-existent Patreon, and we'll give you spicier episodes sooner.
Say how I really feel. All right.
So anyway, this guy. All right. All right. Bye,
thanks,
everyone.
Guys. Bye.